Saturday Night Live decorates the Christmas tree with Trump, skewers Roy Moore. Alec Baldwin dropped by a Christmas-themed Saturday Night Live this week to deck the halls with barbs about President Donald Trump and pay tribute to the notable names who define the year in politics. In the cold open, President Trump, Baldwin and Melania Trump, Cecily Strong decorated the tree of shame, hanging ornaments adorned with photos of fired FBI Director James Comey, former Press Secretary Sean Spicer, and other haters and losers. The President and First Lady were joined by White House Counselor Kellyanne Conway, Kate McKinnon, Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders, A.D. Bryant, Vice President Mike Pence, Beck Bennett, and recently departed aide Omarosa Manigault Newman Leslie Jones, who banged on the window and demanded to be let inside. They also welcomed a surprise guest, Ivanka Trump, played by Scarlett Johansson. "Ivanka, you made it and R equals 1, and S equals 1, but where's Jared?" Baldwin asked Johansson, referring to his son-in-law Jared Kushner. "And R equals 1, and S equals 1, he's packing a go bag before the FBI arrives," Johansson replied. "I'm going to miss him," Baldwin confessed. "Yes, me too," Johansson said. "I'll always remember that one time I heard him talk after a brief visit from Donald Trump Jr., Mikey Day and Eric Trump, Alex Moffat." The first family turned their attention to the elf-on-the-shelf Attorney General Jeff Sessions McKinnon again. McKinnon Sessions wanted to put the angel on the tree, an angel with special counsel Robert Mueller's face. "We got to cut off the head to kill the snake," McKinnon Sessions said, apparently referring to Mueller. "And I should know, because I'm a mischievous little mongoose." Political headlines also dominated Weekend Update, with co-anchors Colin Jost and Michael Che mocking apparently defeated Alabama Senate candidate Roy Moore. "Congratulations to Alabama's newest senator, not Roy Moore," Jost said of Democrat Doug Jones, who is projected to have won the special election there this week. Doug Jones has become the first Democrat to win a Senate seat in Alabama in over 20 years, Jost noted. He then took a shot at the sexual misconduct allegations against Jones' Republican opponent. Said Roy Moore, "Gross and R equals 1, and S equals 1, over 20 years and R equals 1, and S equals 1. Che observed that black women helped fuel Jones' win, but quickly added that the Democratic Party would probably soon take them for granted. "Democrats know that black people aren't really Democrats," Che joked. "We just vote for the guy that looks less likely to put us on a boat." Comedian and actor Kevin Hart hosted the episode. The musical guest was the Foo Fighters. Thank you for watching. For the follow-up, subscribe to the channel yourself here. SNL takes on Omarosa resignation or firing. Saturday Night Live got in the holiday sorry Christmas spirit. In this week's cold open, the last of the year, President Trump, performed as usual by the frowning Alec Baldwin, and the First Lady, Melania Trump, played by Cecily Strong, trimmed their tree, giving them and the show a chance to do a little reminiscing. Mr. Baldwin remarked that this was the greatest year in the history of America, and maybe the entire planet Earth, to which Ms. Strong responded, "Rest in peace." Just as it seemed that Mr. Baldwin's character was going to get presidential at Ms. Strong's urging, he said, "It's Christmas time. Soon White Santa will be coming from house to house taking presents from Muslims and illegals and giving them to American children." Mr. Baldwin then invited a parade of White House aides to hang ornaments. Kellyanne Conway, Kate McKinnon offered one with a picture of disgraced FBI Director James Comey. When Mr. Baldwin asked what she wanted for Christmas, Ms. McKinnon said, "I want out." A.D. Bryant showed up as Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the White House press secretary, with ornaments that featured mugs of her predecessors, Anthony Scaramucci and Sean Spicer, whose mangled corpses I stepped over to get this job. Vice President Mike Pence, Beck Bennett, was next in line, apologizing for slurring his speech. He blamed a ginger ale. Then came this exchange, prompting one of the show's loudest laughs. "Mr. Baldwin, are you here to deck the halls, Mike?" Mr. Bennett, "Oh, I don't like that song because it mentions gay apparel." Omarosa Manigault Newman, the White House aide, who left her job this week, appeared outside an Oval Office window in the form of Leslie Jones, before being promptly dragged away again. More on her later. Scarlett Johansson made a cameo as Ivanka Trump, offering an ornament of Roy Moore, the Alabama Republican, who on Tuesday lost his bid for the Senate. "I thought for sure he would win, until he lost. Then I said I always knew he would lose," Mr. Baldwin said, referring to Mr. Moore. "At least America knows that I finally supported an accused child molester." Ms. Johansson responded, "As I said, there is a special place in hell, and we're all there." Kevin Hart's interesting monologue. Kevin Hart was the SNL host, a three-peat, and his monologue focused mostly on having his third child. "I can admit to everybody that I wasn't excited about having a baby in the beginning. When we had the idea of having a baby, I wasn't thrilled. I didn't know if I wanted the baby. That's me being honest. Don't judge me. In being honest, I didn't know if I wanted the baby. The reason why is because I have got 2 babies already. My daughter is 12, my son is 10. I told my wife, I said, babe, I got the best of both worlds. I did it. We married. So technically, those babies are your babies. That's what I told her. Those are your babies, too. She said, I know, but they are old, and I want new ones. I said, well, first of all, don't talk about my kids like they're used cars. Don't do that. Okay? These kids run perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with these kids. The monologue was interesting given that just this week, Mr. Hart had admitted on a New York radio show to cheating on his wife while she was pregnant. Ms. Jones returned as Ms. Newman during Weekend Update, insisting that she hadn't been fired. That's right, I quit, Ms. Jones said. I deactivated my ID card, changed the locks on my own office, I escorted myself off the premises, and then I threw myself into the bushes, and then a security guard showed up to once again escort Ms. Jones off the set, or maybe it was the other way around. You better take my arm, because I'm escorting you out of the studio, she said, referring to the guard, and you better throw me into the Christmas tree. This was the first SNL episode since it was announced that Colin Jost and Michael Che would become the co-head writers for the show. Mr. Jost Doug Jones has become the first Democrat to win a Senate seat in Alabama in over 20 years, said Roy Moore Gross. Over 20 years? Mr. Che Democratic National Committee Chairman Tom Perez tweeted, Black women led us to victory, and we can't take that for granted. But I bet you will, and you know why? It's because Democrats know that black people aren't really Democrats. We just vote for the guy that looks less likely to put us on a boat. Here is how I vote. I look at both candidates. I listen to them speak, and then I ask myself, if I got pulled over, which one of these candidates would I rather see approaching my car? And it's almost always not the one on a horse. Mr. Jost police in Illinois arrested a man for drunk driving after he crashed his car into a ditch and told officers that his name was Burger King. Police then took out their tasers and had it their way. Mr. Che, the FCC approved a controversial plan to repeal net neutrality regulations. The move was spearheaded by FCC Chairman Ajit Pai, who I assume Trump picked because he looked at him one time and thought, I bet this guy does computers. Poor Shaquille O'Neal. This week, SNL took on the popular TNT basketball studio crew, featuring Charles Barkley, Kenan Thompson, Kenny Smith, Chris Redd, Ernie Johnson, Alex Moffat, and Mr. O'Neill being played by Mr. Hart. And while there were some digs at Mr. Barkley, the real butt of the sketch was Mr. O'Neill. At one point, Mr. Hart wished those of the Jewish faith a happy Hanukkah. Much of the sketch was non sequiturs from the O'Neill character, which, if you've ever watched NBA games on TNT, isn't too far off. Here is a smattering. Shaq can't ride no horse, feet don't touch the ground. But you can't beat a dead horse, because dead horses tell no tales, because they're horses who lost their tails. Yeah, well, let me tell you something. Every dog has his day, but it's nighttime, no time for dogs. Dogs don't sleep. So, it's cat time. Cats come out at night, freaks come out at night. Shaq a freak. At one point, Mr. Thompson responded, Shaq, it's like a whole bunch of words got jumbled up in your brain, and the fire marshal said, everybody out. And then there was the physical comedy, when Mr. Hart emerged from behind the studio desk on stilts to convey Mr. O'Neill's height. Kudos to Mr. Hart here. His portrayal of Mr. O'Neill wasn't spot on by any stretch, but it was funny. It was surely a writer's dream, in which a bunch of random words could be thrown at a performer with a guarantee they would get laughs. Office phone call revolved around Mr. Hart, who, instead of just excusing himself and going to the restroom during meetings, concocts elaborate phone calls to leave. This was a great example of the surrounding cast somehow managing to not break character during a sketch that plays to Mr. Hart's strength being absurd. Tonight, we raise our glasses to those who have to play it straight in sketches. Thank you for watching. For the follow-up, subscribe to the channel yourself here.
Slowly, child is slowly taken. میثم اکبری.
غافل شدم از گوشه قلبم داری میری، عاشق شدنم دست تو بود اینجا گیری. قبلا که میگفتی تا دنیا دنیا هست، هم صحبت تنهایی من میشینه میری. از من دور دور نشی که هر جور جون بگی میدم تا هم نفس من چی، هم نفس من چی، عشق و دل من چی، زندگی من، دلخوشی من.